All right, so here we go. In this section, we got segments and congruence, which tells us how to identify, what a congruent segment is, and how do we identify what to do with congruent segments. All right, so the first vocabulary term we need to know is what a postulate is. Right, a postulate is just a rule that is accepted without proof. This is something that you assume is true given the information. All right, so here's an example. All right, when 3 points are collinear, right, we talked about what collinear means on the same line. You can say that one point is between the other two, not in the middle. Right, big mistake is when people say between, they automatically place that point in the middle of the other 2 points. So for example here below, we have A and B and C all on a line, right? So we can say that B is between A and C. All right, now we get into the segment addition postulate. This is going to tell us that if B is between A and C, then I have a segment AB that if I add up BC to it, you will get an entire segment of AC. So here it is here for you. So here's our AB, right, from A to B. Okay, for this little segment here, if I add up the other segment, BC, I will end up getting a total of A to C. So from B to C and A and B, you get AC. All right, so I can say this another way. Let's take color codes. Let's go yellow. So from A to B is yellow. And I take yellow and I mix it with blue. So from B to C is blue. If I put both the yellow and blue segments together, right? Remember back in elementary school, yellow and blue make green. So the AB, which is the yellow, plus the BC, which is blue, will give me a total length from A to C, showing that is green. Okay, so we can use that to solve for different lengths or variables, given AB is equal to something, BC is equal to something, add them up, set equal to AC. All right, now I've been saying equal and congruent, right? What does that mean? All right, so in this slide we show that in order to show things equal, you need to show them congruent first. So in geometry, you say things are equal by saying they're congruent. All right, so the lengths are equal. AB is equal to CD. The segments are congruent, showing that AB is congruent to CD. Okay, what does that mean? That means the same thing basically, right? We know that if AB is equal to CD in length, so let's say they're both 5, they're both 5 inches long, then I can say that they're also congruent, right? And congruent means that that AB is congruent to CD, meaning the lengths can then be set equal to each other, right? So these things are used vice versa, all right? And also, hint, note, this is not going anywhere, okay? Segments that are marked congruent, using these little tick marks here, I call them, okay? These guys, when you put them on the segments, they show you that something is congruent, okay? Meaning that they have the same length. You can set them equal to each other and solve, like we've been working on with algebra, okay? If they have the same number of these little tick marks on the segments, then you know they are congruent. So if this one had 3 and that one only had 2, they would not be congruent. If they both have 3, then that shows those segments are congruent, aka equal. All right, so now we have something that splits a segment in half, called a segment bisector. Right, this is a point segment, could be a ray, could be anything. Okay, that divides a segment, not a line, right? Because lines go on and on forever in both directions. Can't really divide it in half. A line segment divides it equally in 2 parts. So here's an example of a segment AB being cut bisegment CD, right? Showing us that now we have two parts that are congruent. So AM with the one tick mark is congruent to MB with the other one tick mark. Here's another one. Instead of having a segment cutting a segment in half, now we have a ray cutting a segment in half. So this one shows a ray, MN, cutting this segment AB in half. How do I know it's cut in half? First off, they tell us it bisects, keyword, bisect meaning cutting in half. Also, they have the tick marks on the diagram showing us that AM is equal to MB. Hence, this is the midpoint or the bisect of AB. So M is the bisect point of AB. Let's see what's next here. Right, here we have now a line cutting a segment AB in half. All right, again, how do we know? Well, they tell us again, bisects, cut in half, right? Also, the tick marks show us that, okay, from A to M is the same length from M to B. So that this point here must be the middle of that segment AB. All right, so now that we have identify what a segment is, what a segment bisector is, what a congruent segment is, and a segment addition postulate, we can then now work on some practice problems. Okay, if you jotted these notes down, we can use these notes to help us out in solving some practice problems coming up.